Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Third thing we're brought to you by is Rat Bat. Got rats? Want to kill bats? Kill them with a rat bat. Fourth thing we're brought to you by is hot dog flavored water ingredients. If you want to add it to your smoothie, hot dog flavor ingredient. I'll do that, I guess.
Yeah, the fucking poor man's slate.
Yeah. All right, so Keith, you've been on here a couple times. You posted online that you had your 10-year anniversary off of heroin, and I just said, man, that's awesome, and I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah,
so,
man.
Super simple. I didn't have anything more than that. And you have a bunch of other stuff actually I'd like to talk about too, but like I just thought that was really cool. I did a whole series on like people that got sobriety, or degrees of sobriety off of different things. Alcohol. We had another guy, heroin, another alcohol, another heroin. Those are the two big ones, alcohol and heroin. And I know that you have, back issues and you're in a lot of pain a lot of the time. So yeah. It's easy to, I won't be in pain if I just go back to heroin. Totally. So what I'm saying is you have the excuse to just go back, but you've managed to be clean for 10 years.
Oh, it's very hard because
it's awesome though. That says a lot, man, about your willpower, your mental fortitude that you were able to just, go clean. And like you said before, you're on cannabis and, you take mushrooms or DMT. So it's not like you're clear of everything, but you don't drink anymore either.
No,
right?
I actually stopped drinking at the worst time, which was right before the pandemic when everyone started drinking. Yeah. So I just stopped alcohol and everything. Just not because necessarily I was addicted to it or anything like that. It's just getting older, just the inflammation it was doing in my body.
Oh, man.
The research I've been doing on the links to cancer. Just the way it was making me tired, I'm just trying to get shit done and make moves and do all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
So it's just
for sure.
And to be honest, it doesn't show the best version of me, most of the time. You know what I mean? So if it's if I get angry, it makes me even angrier, things like that. Not that I'm an angry person or anything. It's just I don't need that. You know what I mean? And I drank so fucking much. I mean, I was pretty much a hardcore alcoholic in my early 20s leading up to the opiates. And I was I'm at the point I was I got to pick my vices, you know what I mean? I still do some things that, but alcohol is just not going to be one of those. I drank enough alcohol in my life. I might have one at Christmas or New Year's maybe, but I don't even really care then.
That's good.
You know what I mean? So
plus you save a crap load of money.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
It's so expensive.
Yeah. And you just feel way better. I would just have a drink or two maybe every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But looking back, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of inflammation. Me waking up shitty, and
I was the same way. Just 2 or 3. I'm that's not a lot, but then it is a lot at the end of the week. And then calories or just garbage. Yep. It's not.
What was your drink of choice? Is it?
It's a Bud Light.
Bud Light. Okay, so that's a fuckload of calories.
I like cheap beer. I don't.
So I would. My drink was whiskey cokes usually, but drinking soda's bad for you too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a combination of both. Is terrible. I just would feel not good the next day, and I'm not even drunk. I'm not nothing. I would just like to eat with it. I would like to. Okay, I have a meal. It's night. I like to have a beer with my meal, but man, I just didn't feel good, and I trained so hard. I feel like I'm training with the brakes on. Like your car,
it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's driving a car and then your emergency brake is on the whole time. Well, why is it hesitant?
It just actually just completely blows my mind that alcohol is just accepted as it is in our society compared to cannabis.
Oh yeah,
and
that's changing a ton.
It is changing,
now,
but just imagine if it was the vice versa. Say in the 50s, all these husbands who are just getting drunk, beating their families and shit. But if it was cannabis was around then, it would be completely different. Yeah, and yeah, just like when you're on the roads, like, you know, because I got fucking 2 DUIs and shit. So I went through all those classes and all that shit. And, you know, 70% of the people on the road are, you know, under the influence of something, whether it's alcohol, some type of psychotic drug,
man, a lot of
fucking pills, coke, whatever the fuck.
Xanax.
I had a huge issue with benzos also. Like,
okay. They say that's terrible. Like benzos are really hard to get off of.
Well, it's not. It's really hard to get off of, but the most important thing is it's actually the most dangerous to withdraw from. Because benzos and alcohol are actually the only 2 things you can actually die from withdrawals. Opiates, you feel like you're gonna die, but you're gonna be fine. Or, you know, you just have to like tough it out. But like, there's actually like you could go into like seizures and shit like that from the benzos are very dangerous.
My grandfather was on he actually might have been on benzos too.
And I don't know if you want to explain to the audience what benzos are, but that's like Xanax, Klonopins.
It's a lot of like
dissociatives, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like for people with anxiety and stuff like
problem.
That. But dude, I would fucking take those fucking and just like those anti-bars, crush those motherfuckers up and just snort that shit. I can still taste that shit to this day, dude. You know
I've never taken any of that kind of stuff. It's funny.
You've never taken a Xanax?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
It's funny. I just went to a psychiatrist because I've been my ADD is just like I can't. It gets in the way sometimes of getting. I do so much. We were talking about the podcast, you know, and you're like, you're doing this, and I'm like, man, it's just like this is like one of like 6 things that I do consistently, and that's part of the IDD too. But like, I needed to like focus a little bit more. So I was like, maybe I need something. I haven't taken ADD medicine since I was 20, since I started jiu-jitsu. So 20 years ago, 21 years ago.
What medicine was it then?
I think it was Ritalin.
Yeah.
I think it was Ritalin, but it helped me in school. Yeah. Like people like talk a lot of trash about it. You know, oh, it's a lot of people take it that don't need it.
Would you give it to your kids?
If they needed it, yeah, I would totally. Yeah. I'm so lucky. My kids have none of my shit.
Yeah.
I was worried, man, because I had like when I was a kid, I was a mess, dude. Yeah. I had depression. I have dyslexia. I have ADD, and I have a couple other learning disabilities that I always forget the names of with numbers too. Because numbers, there's a dyslexia for numbers too. It's fucking terrible to be in school that way. And my kids are like insane. Like, my oldest one is in all the gifted programs. He's taking Mandarin programs. He's the top 2% of his school.
Nice.
Like and my younger one is too. And he just doesn't push as hard. Like he doesn't care as much. But he could pick things up, and he might have a little bit of ADD, but none of the learning disabilities. And it's not enough to like he can't do his work. Like I would have problems like getting shit done.
You're on drugs not getting now for it?
Yeah. So anyway,
so is it what's it called? Adderall?
It is now. Yeah. I took another one first because I was like, I don't know if I want stimulants again, and the other one did literally nothing, and it was a non-stimulant. And he's like, this one works really good. It's like super high. And it's non-addictive, and it won't keep you up, and all these things. And I was like, wow, this sounds great. That's the one I want to take.
Adderall or?
No, it was a different one. I don't remember the name of it now.
Yeah.
I have it somewhere. And I took it for 30 days, and I was like, nothing. I was like, literally nothing's happening. And he's like, oh, then you need to stop taking it. Okay. I didn't think you could just stop. He's like, oh, this one you could just stop whenever. So then I started the Adderall, and it's helped me. But my original point was took this test, and it was for anxiety. He wanted me to take some tests, like written tests. And he's like, do you have anxiety? I'm like, no. He's like, well, you scored a 19 out of 21 for anxiety. I was like 19, like 20. He's like, 21 means that you can't function. Damn. And I was like, I don't have panic attacks.
What is this? Just like answering questions?
Yeah, just answering questions. And they're like, I guess, anxiety like questions. Yeah, yep, and a scale. And, but I was like, I told him, I'm like, I just have, a lot of responsibilities.
I think everybody has anxiety,
and it's just stress, but it doesn't, I don't like not leave the house. It doesn't make me not get things done.
Yeah.
Like it's not like crippling.
I think people deal with it in different ways, but like my mom had crippling anxiety where like, she'd be shopping and then just fucking leave the cart because of an anxiety attack and stuff like that. So,
and I don't get any of that, so I don't know. So anyway, he didn't offer me anything, but I know a lot of people take Xanax for the anxiety attacks and panic attacks.
Well, they used to I don't know how it is now, but they used to just
hand
that shit out like crazy. Like, oh, you have anxiety, here's some fucking Xanax. And Xanax is a kind of drug where you literally lose days on it. Like you you become a complete like zombie and
I don't want that, man. I don't want to not feel.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like people who see you might think you're feeling because of the way you're acting, but it's really like empty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want that, man. And
as an addict, you take that stuff because you're just trying to get away from your problems because it's such a different reality, you know?
Yeah, so I try to deal with like anything that's giving me anxiety. I try to attack it. I was like super deep into Jordan Peterson stuff, and I read his book, and one of the things he says all the time is like, the thing you need to deal with is the thing that you're avoiding.
Totally.
It's the easiest thing.
That's why mushrooms help, because they bring what you're trying to avoid to the forefront, and you're fucking tackling that the next day. That's why, exactly.
He's like, you just gotta face it, and the faster you face it, the more. He's like, there still might be consequences. It's not like, it's if you face it, it goes away. He's like, but you're at least dealing with it. If you don't deal with it, it'll come up in other ways in your life.
And then other anxieties just add on.
Yeah, you're having a panic attack, but it's probably this thing that you need to deal with that you just don't want to deal with.
I have to be honest,
procrastinate it, you know?
I'm in this like weird mood about anxiety. Like, yeah, I'm happy we're at a place in the world now where everyone's talking about mental health and like even rappers talk about anxiety and shit now. Like you couldn't talk about mental health in the 90s, you know what I mean? There was all gangster rap and shit like that. So, but I feel like we're getting to this point where we're just like, it's becoming a crutch. It's like everyone's I have anxiety. I have anxiety. Well, and then the people just go to these fucking people in their lab coats and just take whatever the fuck they say without doing anything else.
No work,
without fucking doing any type of yoga, without doing any type of meditation, without fucking exercising. Like you'll see people who are 300 pounds who have anxiety. It's like, maybe you should walk around the block a few times, you know what I mean? And fucking
exercise is
your fucking gut, your gut biome, taking fucking probiotics, like that has a lot to do with mental health and anxiety and stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. And taking a pill is no work.
Exactly.
And I don't want to like put down people that need to take. Cause I'm
not putting that down either.
There's also a lot of like they don't want to.
There's a lot of steps that you can do
for sure
before that, and I just think that it's just there's this whole anxiety thing. It's like anxiety is not necessarily like a bad thing. Every single animal or person has anxiety. Have you ever seen a fucking like squirrel? They're always like fucking, they're just waiting to be fucking like for a predator to be taken.
Well, first of
all,
like
just fucking,
they have to always look up because
we don't have to worry about that shit, luckily.
There's birds, and then on the ground there's stuff, there's like
could you imagine
if you're walking around,
how scary that would be?
A giant bird could just scoop
at
you
any
up
time.
At any
if we went outside right now and we could get scooped up.
For sure.
We don't have to worry about that.
Oh yeah,
right?
that
so we're already
would
like
give
luckily.
Me anxiety for sure.
But what I'm trying to say is everyone has some type of fucking anxiety, but like it's how you deal with it and how you attack it and how you channel it. You know what I mean? Like even cannabis, people will say that gives them paranoia or anxiety and stuff. It's like, no, that's actually showing you like what you need to tackle. You know what I mean? And then once you get those things in place, you can actually enjoy that high a lot better because you're not being paranoid about all those things. You know what I mean?
I think, modern life has different types of anxiety. Like we used to have anxiety, like starving to death, fighting off wolves.
But most of the anxiety that we have these days is pretty. It's almost
it's not
fear. It's almost fear from fucking people going on social media, the fucking media, fucking all the divisiveness that's going on, all the bullshit.
So much media. My wife. Like,
I'm not trying to shit on anxiety here.
No. But like
it's just like I feel like there's not enough talk about health and fitness, eating right, doing all these things that would just prevent a lot of people's anxiety. It's just very easy for everyone to I'm depressed.
When I was a kid, I used to watch the news all the time with my parents, and in the 80s, it's the same thing as now. Like we pretend like it's new now, but not really, man. In the 80s, it was like the Russians are going to kill us all.
Oh, for sure.
And, drugs and gangs, and there's always something to be
It's even worse now, though.
But now that's just access to 24-hour news is easy now. It's on your phone.
But
it's
not just that,
everything.
there's no accountability for all the fucking bullshit
that
false
like
stuff. Yeah, like CNN's constantly getting caught telling complete lies. Rolling Stone just got caught fucking telling complete lies. And then what happens? Nothing. The next day they just keep putting out articles.
Because nobody reads the redacted parts, or if they even do it. Even if they put space on a page to say, hey, we actually messed up here. Nobody does that. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that stuff causes the anxiety. And unfortunately, so I only read news. I will not watch news. And I feel that helps me a lot. It's less sensational. You could still sensationalize things with writing, but not as much as graphics. It's moving and imagery is so powerful. It's super powerful. So if I just read,
make it in your head the images.
I should just read facts more. For like an image you can also create an image that's not real, too. Like the news when they always do the weather and they're like pretending they're blowing over, and then you see two dudes walk in the back and they're just walking like. It's it's manufactured.
Exaggerating the fuck out of it. Yeah.
So when you write it, if I go to
that shit's hilarious when they do that.
Oh, it's funny. But when I look at my weather app, I just go, okay, it's 81 degrees outside. The wind is this. It's sunrises, sunsets here. That's all I need to know. Yeah. I don't need to see that it's flooded. I could just read the flooding. It's not sensationalized, because otherwise I'm like, oh man, it's gonna storm. We're gonna lose our house.
Think it's gonna get flooded here. And
yeah. It's like I don't need that. I have enough I own a school and I have kids. I have real things that
so one way is to deal with anxiety is to, read the news rather than
that's what I do. Yeah. I feel like
we should talk about ways to deal with anxiety, I think, because that's
I exercise.
Exercise is huge.
I start playing this. This helps me a lot.
You know what? An artistic outlet is fucking crucial.
Yeah.
And I feel like some kids who have just these sport crazed parents just force that on them, and they don't get that outlet sometimes when that should be their main outlet. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? A kid should be shown. I shouldn't be speaking because I don't have any kids. Yeah. But they should be shown sports and instruments and music and all these things, because that is a huge stress reliever right there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
I've been art has been in my life since I was a little kid, and it helped me a lot when I had depression. And so I don't have depression anymore, but jiu-jitsu helps with that. But I don't draw anymore, and I haven't been doing that kind of stuff, so I wanted to pick up an instrument. I've never had an instrument. I always wanted, forever, wanted to play an instrument, but I was more intimidated in music because it's math, and math freaks me out. And instead of, I was scared of it, pretty much scared of it. And I was like, fuck that.
I mean, it is math, but you don't
you
realize you're not the math just comes naturally as you're doing it, right?
Yeah. I mean, rhythm can get complex,
Well, it's in you. It's just trying to find it and get it out,
Yeah.
It's just we're super white, so it takes longer.
I am super white. Yeah. But it's helped me a lot because I just concentrate on that. They say that with jiu-jitsu too, you just block out everything else because the guy in front of you is going to kill you. You got to worry about that. I'm not worried about my mortgage and.
The other thing oddly that does that to me, which I'm not huge into, but if I find a good video game here and there, that's the one few things. I don't suggest
you could totally get.
But it's one of the few things where I could totally get engaged in and not think about other stuff. You know what I mean? Where my mind really gets off of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Even watching television shows and movies, I'm still in that world. I'm dissecting how they make it, the extras in the background. It's hard for me to enjoy it. But video games, I'm like, holy shit, 3 hours just went by. Wow, cool. It's like a good outlet for me. But it's hard for me to find a good game to invest my time in.
Play, and then. Also, I just have so many things that I need to get done.
Yeah, I know.
I always feel like I'm wasting time.
If this game's not going to blow my mind, I'm not going to commit to it. The last game was Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah. That game is on a fucking another level, dude.
Yeah, it's open world.
Open world. Yeah. It's like a movie. The graphics are on a fucking another level. Yeah. That was a good game.
I was trying to get a PlayStation 5, but dude, I'm not going to spend $1 billion on it, and I don't play it enough to make it worth the time. So I've been just when I'm really bored, I just play the mandolin or practice the mandolin.
I'm hoping the new Halo coming out is going to be legit.
And I'm sure it's going to be awesome. That's their flagship deal, you know. I'm sure it'll be awesome. For the new system, probably, right? Or
I think it's like the new one and then still the Xbox.
Still play,
well, you know what, actually, what I'm going to try is it's also coming out on PC. And what's cool that you could do is you could take your Xbox controller, and I have Windows, and Xbox like Live or whatever is on the PC, so I can actually play Halo off my PC with the Xbox controller.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's just like my PC is like an Xbox on roids, you know what I mean? So the graphics will be awesome, it should run smooth and shit. So
that'd be cool.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know how we got on. We went crazy on anxiety. I guess what I was going to say originally is, what led you to start heroin in the first place?
Oh, okay.
Was it like a cascading thing?
No, it was definitely like a lead up, man. From
I mean, I don't think like that's something that people jump into.
No, definitely.
Some people nowadays were getting injured, then they take oxy, and then they take away the oxy. They're addicted to opiates, and now they're taking H. So that's like a pretty quick thing, like transition. Is there something that?
Well, it's very simple.
Yeah.
The Percocets and the Oxycontins, buying the pills on the street just gets way too expensive.
Okay.
And then the heroin's so cheap, and the high is a billion times better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, and then once you shoot that once, you just pretty much never go back. So at that point, I was already snorting like 5 80 milligram oxys for fucking breakfast. Dude, I had like a fucking, you know, it was like a $300 to $500
what originally got you on
habit.
that then?
So I've always just partied, and I've always sold drugs, dude, since high school. Like I've started selling acid in high school. Once I got out, I was slanging weed pretty hard, and then an opportunity came in my 20s to sell Vicodins, and I would get these fucking big huge bottles of fucking 500, and I think they were $2 a pill. It was like $1,000 for the bottle, but I could sell them for $4, and I would just sell fucking Vicodins like crazy. Well, in the meantime, I'm just popping them, you know, like fucking candy, you know. I was an extremely fucking responsible alcoholic and drug addict all the way up until I started doing heroin, dude. You know what I mean? I was able to go to have my job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just fucked up constantly. You know, I had a house, I had a girlfriend, I had a band, I had a Halo team. I did all these things while selling drugs, fucking drinking constantly smoking weed. I'm not saying I'm proud of any of this thing. I'm just telling you the reality of it.
But you were maintaining the facade of normalcy.
Yeah, like I had a fucking badass 2-story fucking house, dude. Like when I was 23, I had a fucking nice car and all this shit. Like everything looked like I was balling. It wasn't because I was even selling drugs. I was actually just selling drugs just for like, I wasn't like this huge like big time drug dealer. It was just like extra cash, you know, vacation money, shit like that, and to support my weed habit. Really, you know, like that's why I sold weed and shit. But then 2007, 8ish, just a bunch of fucking tragedies happened, man. I don't know if you ever knew Merck. That started with Merck. He was a good friend of mine, but he was a lot closer to a lot of other of my friends of mine. He fucking killed himself.
Oh, geez.
And that was like one of the first, like, wow, someone I just fucking went to high school with just, you know, off themselves, you know. Then after that,
Merck,
Justin Merklin.
I don't know him.
Then my mom got diagnosed with cancer. She got diagnosed with cancer in September and then died that March in 2009. Then my fucking other friend Jamie, who I worked with at Honeywell, he was 22 years old. He wasn't even really a drug addict. He just liked to party and shit. And this was like before anyone even knew what the fuck fentanyl was. But people were getting the fentanyl patches and shit. If you don't know what fentanyl is, it's 50 times stronger than heroin.
Yep.
But cancer patients will put the patch on, and it distributes the fentanyl over 3 days, right?
Okay.
So people were cutting these open and like putting in their gums and smoking it. I'm actually guilty of doing this like once or twice. There was something that in me that the second time I was doing this that just told me that this wasn't right. I can never forget being in my room in this 2-story house I had and just doing this, and I was like, what the fuck, this is something wrong about this. Sure as shit, like within the next month, my friend Jamie, he took some benzos, like a Xanax, put some of that bullshit in his gums. He went to lunch with his dad and his brother at a pizza parlor. He went into the bathroom because he wasn't feeling good, and then the dad was like, hey, can you go check on Jamie? Like, what the fuck? Like, how come he doesn't come out? They went in there. He's face down, puke. You know, you could tell he was grabbing shit like he was trying to stay alive. He was dead at 22, dude.
Oh, man.
He had a girlfriend that he was engaged to. Like,
what did he take?
Fentanyl. Like, he was on benzos, and then the fentanyl is just, you know, you can't mix that shit, dude. The benzos and the opiates and shit, it's just too much.
Heart.
Yeah, you just it just slows your respiratory system. You just stop breathing, you know. And man, that broke my heart. And then, like, literally, like, within 9 months, all these like crazy things happened. My dog died. My fucking dog, like my best friend, my dog died. I lost my job. I quit my job, and then I went to another job, which
Didn't you work at ST?
Yeah, I worked at ST, and I left there. I was just so sick of their politics and their bullshit. I went to Honeywell, and then, like, I was kind of part of that housing market bullshit where, like, I got that house because I shouldn't have. They were handing out loans to everybody.
Arms.
Yeah. So in 2008, you know, I lost my house and shit. I could have totally saved it, but at that point I was a full-blown drug addict and shit. I didn't even give a fuck. I just left, you know, half my shit inside of there and just left it, you know. And so at that point I was already fucking taking just an insane amount of fucking Vicodins, and then what happened was the Percocet 30s became very trendy, which was one blue Percocet that's 30 milligrams. So that's like what, five? That's like 6 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 6 Percocets in one, right? Because usually they're like 5 milligrams or whatever.
Okay.
And so
I don't think I've ever taken Percocet.
Yeah,
yet.
So it's like a. So
I took Tylenol 3 once.
I'll tell you off camera. We had a mutual friend who got in a crazy fucked up car accident, and while he was in there, like, he got addicted to drugs, and then he actually brought these Percocets over, and I'll never forget, like, he's like, dude, just try this, you'll love it. And he would do like 4 or 5 of them and snort them, and I used to think that was the most insane thing in the world, and I would just eat one. Within like a month, bro, I was snorting like 5 of those for breakfast, and those things were like $20 each.
Oh, geez.
You know what I mean? So then the next step after that,
expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. So then what you're doing is you're trying to find these pills, and then at a deal that you can sell to other drug addicts so you can get some for free. You're like, you know, it's just all this drug addict mentality and behavior that starts going on because you have to have so many per day just to not get dope sick. You know what I mean? Like, you know, at some point you're almost not even getting high anymore. It's just like, so you're maintaining and not getting sick. And I was addicted, but I was on the blue Percocets, but I wasn't like losing control of my life still. I was still kind of responsible and shit. Wasn't really until the Oxycontins came in. I don't know if you're familiar with those. And by the way, there's a documentary on all this about Purdue and all the pharmaceutical shit going on about this, about how these pills became just completely overabundant available because doctors were just writing them off like crazy because they were getting kickbacks and shit like that. I know
people that were like, that didn't take any, but they're like, yeah, my doctor just wrote me for like tons of these things. He's like, I'm not sure I need any of these.
And back then, you could do is doctor shop because you weren't in like a computer system. So you go to like fucking different doctors and get 120 of these, you know what I mean, and make a lot of money even if you.
So then you got on Oxy.
So Oxycontin is these 80 milligrams. But they have a time release on it. Yeah. And what you do is you just put it under the faucet and wash the time release off, fucking crush that off and snort it. You know what I mean? And those are like
a coating or something on it.
Yeah, it's like a coating on it. And so those were like, what? Were those $40 or $80 each? I can't even remember. But like I said, like I'd be doing 5 of those for fucking breakfast. It's like almost like a $200 to $200 to $500 a day habit. And the only way to maintain doing that is by selling drugs, you know what I mean? Or ultimately, what I never end up doing, luckily, but like people start robbing people or fucking doing, you know, home invasions and shit. I'll tell you something that we know.
Women sell themselves.
We know someone mutually, I could tell you off camera, who was doing all those home invasions and all that shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, my friend went to prison.
Oh, yeah, you know that.
Yeah, so like my friend went to prison. Like, luckily I got away from him, you know, I separated myself from him for a couple years. He would call me up every once. So like one time I took him to rehab in the middle of the night, and I remember I was with my wife, and he called me like 1 in the morning maybe, and I answered the phone, and he's like, hey Mike, I got with my debit card and I have nothing, and I'm calling off another phone. There's a bed, at Thunderbird Hospital.
I've been through that one.
Can you drop me off? And I was like, yeah, man, I'll be there. So I drove there.
That's a good friend.
But I was like, I took my 45 because I was like, man, I knew he was like just so gone. Like I didn't think he would rob me. I really didn't.
But you never know.
But the people, he was at some random drug house. It was just a drug house.
Oh yeah, you don't know the people.
But the other people, I don't know who those people are. So I'm like, I'm packing my gun. Like
this was meth too, right?
He hit meth and both.
Oh okay.
He was selling oxys, and then I mean he was on anything. So earlier,
that's even a whole other world.
When I was saying when I was a kid, I took pills. He would want to take my pills. I'm like, dude, you don't even know what they are. We're little kids.
That's how McClay was.
Yeah. He's like, what, can I take them? I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is my medicine. Like, it's not a fun thing for me. Like, I don't want to
like, hey, let me hit your inhaler, bro. In high school.
You would? Yeah.
No. Like, do you ever meet those kids in high school?
Yeah.
I had an
inhaler. I had an inhaler too.
And they'd be, and like those drug addict kids, like you were just saying, they'd be like, hey, let me take a couple of your inhaler. I'm like,
yeah, it's just so weird. He was like that since he was a kid. And he was always wanted to do something bad when he was a kid too. But anyway, yeah, he robbed somebody at gunpoint, and then they went on a chase, and then he went to prison for it. He's out now, but
so I never did any of that.
You
but
can go so sideways.
Yeah, drugs just completely just take over your mind and soul, really, and you just don't think about anything except for getting the drug to, like I said, not even honestly get high, just not get sick. But there's jumps. So like after the Percocets, you start doing the oxys, you do get high again because it's just like it's so different and new and like stronger. Like holy shit! But then, like I said, it gets to a point you just can't afford it. And you always hear about dudes that have heroin, or because it's all in that same world.
Yeah.
And before I actually shot it, I would just smoke it. You just put it like on fucking tinfoil, and you just put a lighter to it, and you just a straw, and you just follow it and shit. And then finally these two dudes were going to pick up, and I was in the back, and they grabbed me some shit, and they pulled over, and they shot it right in front of me.
Oh wow.
And they're like, hey, do you wanna try one? I was like,
a needle. You went straight to a needle then.
So I was in the back seat. I went with these two dudes and went just to score heroin, right? And then right when we got it, they wanted to shoot up right away. So we pulled over, and I hadn't shot up in my life yet at this point. I just got it to smoke it, and then
you got heroin to smoke.
To smoke it.
Okay.
So I'm in the back seat.
You smoked it before though.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
Totally. Yeah, like at that point, there's like
at that point you were already.
There's a period of me just like smoking it and snorting it.
That's what I like. I've heard people say like they usually go snort or smoke. Or smoke, then snort, then slam.
So I never even thought of slamming it, right? But these two dudes were, like I said, they pulled over. I'm in the back seat. They're just shooting up in the front, and the dude in the shotgun is like, "Hey man, I have an extra needle. Do you want to, do you want to try it?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Are you sure?" Like I was paranoid as fuck. I was like, "Is this needle clean? Are you sure?" He's like, "No, look." He pulled out of a clean thing. I was like, "Fuck it." I was like, I can't do this. Like, can you do it for me? He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I got you. So he did it, dude, and he put it in. Fuck, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it right now. Just like, I mean, I felt like I was being lifted by fucking angels, dude, to fucking heaven. It was just like the greatest feeling. Like all my problems went away. It was the best high I'd ever felt in my entire life, and it was the worst decision of my fucking life because I was never going to go back to anything, because like I said, it's just so much cheaper and better than the pills. And something crazy too, when McClay was addicted, he was addicted way before I was. And I'm not even lying when I'm saying this because I got to this point too. He was taking 80 Vicodins a day, right? And it was literally eating a hole in his stomach. And his doctor told him...
It's like taking a cup and just like swigging pills.
That's what he did.
It was how do you even take that much?
He would handfuls. Just fucking...
Oh my gosh, dude, that's crazy.
And then the doctor literally told him, it's safer for you to do heroin than these pills because, the pills have acetaminophen in it and shit like that. And that stuff's really bad for your liver and eat your stomach and stuff like that. So, but the heroin, what sucks is...
Does he have any stomach problems now?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. He's probably all fucked up.
It's all that squirt too, man.
Squirt
combination
soda,
squirt.
Chinese chemicals and that shit, dude. Yeah, and so then... There's like about a year and a half of that, and honestly, like I said, I still wasn't even getting high. It was just to not get sick. And the last year, I didn't even I was hating life. I just wanted life to end. Like you get to a point where you're in such a fucking corner, right? Like, cause you put yourself there where, you know, your friends, you know, you burn that bridges, your family, fucking, you know, you feel like there's just absolutely no hope, you know? And then like, I finally decided I'd probably been in and out of every single fucking, rehab that you can think of here, dude. And then finally, the only thing I could think of next was to try methadone. So I went to one of those bullshit fucking methadone clinics. And I remember going in there thinking, okay, this is the last time I'm doing heroin, and going in there. And then once they fucking did intake and everything, they're like, well, we're not actually going to test you until, you know, next week. I was like, are you kidding? I can do heroin this week? They're like, yeah. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So I went out, and that was the October 11th where I went out the last time with a friend. I'll tell you who that guy was off camera, because it breaks my heart. He actually passed away recently. And
from drugs?
No, not drugs. A car accident, actually. It was just, but I'll never forget. We went to this dude's house and grabbed heroin. It was just like the last. I got it knowing like this is the last time I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? I thought the last time before was the last time, but like this was for real, because I'd already at that point, besides my friend and that one dude, deleted all the numbers out of my phone. Like that's the only way you're gonna get off this shit, is if you delete.
You don't have the access to people that have
exactly
access, yeah.
Even if they're your own family and friends, because I had the closest friends in the world on the same shit. You know what I mean? You just can't be around that, you know? So I did the methadone thing for about 3 or 4 years, which I recommend for getting off of it, but I don't recommend for maintaining on that.
It's a long time.
What's that?
4 years.
Oh, that's a very long time.
Yeah.
I say like 2 or 3 years. The thing with the methadones, dude, that's a complete like
it's
other
a shit show too, right?
Yeah, because like I said, it was good in that it helped me get off of it and away from that world. But their whole goal is to keep you addicted for your whole life, because that's $240 a month they make from every single person. It's like legal fucking drugs or something.
The government pays for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, no, you have to pay. Yeah. I don't know how the fuck the funding goes for it, but the patients have to pay $240 a month for that shit. You don't just get that shit for free. So do we have to wrap?
No, that's fine. So you have to pay $240? What if you're broke? Like, what if you're
maybe there's some programs for some people
right?
that maybe there are programs for people that are broke and stuff like that. Okay. But I remember like stressing, you know, even trying to come up with that per month. But the shitty thing,
per month or per week?
Per month.
Okay, that's a little.
And there's like that's
a lot of money, but still, it's like
they have good rules that keep you off the drug. So like you have to like go in there every single day to get your dose, right? Yeah. Which is a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. But you earn privileges by like, because you have the drug test, you know, every week. And then after so many drug tests, then they're like, okay, we'll send you home with 2 days worth. And then the more drug tests you pass and the more trust you get, they'll end up, you know, over time, they'll even end up sending you with like a month worth of stuff. So you only have to go in there once. It's a liquid. I think they do have a pill, but it's just like they come in like little bottles. You take like a shot of it. You know what I mean? But the fucked up thing is,
and methadone is a type of heroin then?
It's a type of it's like a synthetic opiate.
Yeah, it's an opiate.
It's a synthetic though. Yeah, and it's actually supposedly more difficult to kick than heroin. Oh, so, and the fucked up thing is, the max dosage I think is 130 milligrams. So they start you off at like, I don't know, 30, 40. So every week you're like, oh, I need more. So they'll bump you up 10 just like that, all the way until you get to 130, right? Then finally when you're like, I want to get off of this shit, right? They're like, all right, we can only do 3 milligrams at a time a week. I'm like, what the fuck?
Like bumping it back down?
Yeah. So it took me like a fucking year and a half to get from like 130 to like 30 or some bullshit, just the way they were doing their stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, I had 2 weeks off from work, and I was living with McClay, and I just couldn't take this shit anymore. So I was down to 30 milligrams. I took all my bottles, dude, and I just fucking dumped them down the toilet, and I just completely withdrawed my balls off for 10 days at McClay's. You can ask McClay how crazy those 10 days were, because I didn't fucking sleep. I was fucking just like shaking. It was all the shit out of the movies.
Like you might have to go to the hospital?
No, because I knew that, like, you know, it wasn't a benzo or an alcohol. Yeah. Like I felt like I would want to go there, but I knew ultimately I wasn't going to die or anything.
Does it cause pain?
Yeah, you just get like
body pain, like aches.
You know, the best example of it is, have you ever seen Dewey Cox Walk Hard?
Yeah.
you know, and he's withdrawing, and he's like, it's hot in here, it's cold in here, and then he's like, I need more blankets and less blankets at the same time. He's like, because he's like, I need more blankets.
Yeah.
I need less blankets. I need more and less blankets. Because it's like, you're hot and cold at the same time. You know what I mean? Like,
it's miserable.
Yeah, it's miserable. Yeah, you're fucking. It feels like your blood's boiling.
Oh my gosh.
Your body is. You really feel like you have the flu. It's like flu symptoms. You know what I mean? You're just like, it's just. It was bad, dude. But after that, this is the crazy thing too is, after those 10 days, I just started getting flooded with like real life dopamine. Right?
Yeah.
So I would be driving
Turned
to
it
work.
back on.
Bro,
like your brain's like, hey, we
I'll be driving
to
work like this, going, and just going.
Oh, jeez.
Like laughing and
crying.
Dude, I was like, what is wrong with me?
Oh,
Because I was feeling real emotions for the first time. And it was just so
numb.
weird. Like, but it was like this weird, awesome feeling of going through even the sad ones. Like, wow, this is real right now, though, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just, I was like super emotional, bro. It was crazy. But, and then all of a sudden, literally within that next week, I started getting into all this music I used to be into. Because, dude, I gave up guitar during that. All my passions that I was into that you knew me for.
Yeah.
I was not even that person anymore. And I'll never forget, like, Spotify. It was like this new thing that no one even knew about. And McClay's like, yeah, get Spotify. You know, you can get all the music that you used to listen to. So I'm downloading shit. The very first band I go to is the Beatles. And they're not on there.
Eddie, they're a good band.
So
you don't know shit about music. No offense.
Yeah, what? Who the fuck's Eddie?
He's like, he's this guy that trains here, but I love him. But he's like, Beatles are trash. I'm like, I don't think you know what music. I know. I was like, I think
that's some
I need to
fighting
choke
words,
you for that.
dude.
Like, that's like, not even jiu-jitsu style. I feel like you just need to be choked, bro. Like, to say that is like blasphemy to me. Like, I'm a huge.
It's
Beatles
like even
fan.
if you don't like them, you have to at least respect them for the influence they had on everybody else. I mean, they were so.
They did so many things for music that
they're the OGs of like everything.
Everything. Like if
like
you go through their music, they even played like heavy metal
first,
songs.
Like boy band.
Heavy metal songs.
They're the first. Helter Skelter to me is the very first heavy metal song ever written.
Yeah. A Glass Onion too. Glass Onion is like crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I went off.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about Spotify. You were like,
oh yeah,
back into music.
So
and
they're not on
Beatles.
Spotify.
Yeah.
So I go,
I think they are now though.
I know, but listen, I go, McClay, I thought you said no, and then so they're not on. I'm like, what the fuck? McClay said everyone's on. So I go to Tool. Tool's not on.
Yeah,
so I go, McClay, I thought you said everything was on here. He's like, everything but the Beatles and Tool. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, my two favorite bands. Okay.
But like even like Nirvana and like, dude, I started like just watching like the old Unplugged and like just everything that I was into before, and I felt like a 13-year-old kid again. And then within like the next year, I was like, besides like having to repair a lot of the relationships, I felt like myself again. You know. So
do you feel like all those are good now?
Oh yeah, people don't even.
It's 10 years, but like
looking at people don't even. Well, technically it's like 5 since the methadone and all that bullshit. But like, people like don't even like think of me as that anymore because I've done so much since then. You know what I mean? It's like you can really change change people's opinions. Like when you're in that situation, like. It's just you have to.
And you know new people now that didn't even know you.
Oh yeah, and then they find that out and they're like, really? Like they saw that post and they're like, what the fuck?
Dude, I had this guy. I was doing charity work at my church, and on Wednesdays I'd go, and this guy, at my church they have a food pantry, and you just sign up on a list. Every 2 weeks you can come, and they give you a box.
Oh, nice.
And I would drive their truck to a place to pick up food, and then we get X amount of food, and then I would also like help this pantry like put it all in there and
organize it and shit.
Organizing stuff, and that was kind of my job. So the one guy that like sets it all up, this dude, I don't know how he got into it, but he was like, yeah, I was on heroin. And I was like, what? He's like 60, maybe he's 70, actually 70 something, and he even has like a pocket protector. Like he just looked like my grandfather, and he does not look the part. And he was like,
well, that's good. You don't want him to
he was like,
the part, right?
But he was just like, yeah, I was on heroin forever. And he's like, and I never got any trouble. Like I had X amount of money a month that I would pay for heroin. And I just never went past that. And I was like, what? And he was like, and then one day I was like, this has more power over me than God. And he's a religious guy. So he's like, this has more power over me than God. And he was like, I can't. It's not. I'm not okay with this. And that was like his line.
That's fine. Yeah,
that was his line or whatever.
Yeah.
But he never like sold drug, like he had enough money and he was doing heroin. I was like, this is crazy. Like, and it was just like, and I just went in a room with my wife. I told her, whatever I tell you, just don't listen to me. And like he said, I think he took him 4 days, he said, and he just
to get off of it,
just cut it out for 4 days. But it blew my mind because it was like, I would never have guessed that guy, it was on heroin or whatever, because I didn't know him from that, You
never know anyone's story, right?
Yeah. And he was clean for like 30 years or something like that. He quit
but you know
80s,
what, though? The thing about that breaks my heart is you could be sober for that long and still relapse and die. For example, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah. He was 25 years sober off of heroin, decides to go get some fucking heroin and gets a bad batch. This is one I want to talk about just really quick.
Yeah. Because people now, they put fentanyl.
Yeah.
Fentanyl.
And dude, if I was a drug addict now, I would definitely have died. I fucking overdosed 3 fucking times, dude. And every time my dumbass is because I mixed it with fucking Xanax, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, everything is laced with fentanyl now. Not even opiates, but like cocaine and shit. I don't know if you heard about Kate Quigley, the comedian. She was doing coke with 3 other comedians. Those 3 comedians fucking died, and she woke up in a hospital, and it was because the coke was laced with fentanyl. Yeah. For some reason, this shit is coming through China into Mexico, and I don't know if the mafia is doing it or who they're selling it to is doing it, but they just caught a lady with 50,000 fentanyl pills in the back of her trunk on 19th and Bell. That's at least 100 overdoses right there, bro.
Everything gets a little bit. I don't trust our government, first of all, and it's known that they brought
into LA,
cocaine into LA. This is true.
I don't understand the fentanyl thing. I don't know why the mafia would do that. That's something they would not do. They want to keep their people alive. You know what I mean?
What if it's the
I totally agree with that. I could see that.
Is just killing people.
Oh, for sure.
Like they're like, we have too many drug addicts. Yeah. We need to get rid of some of these people, and instead of like saving them, let's just kill a bunch of people off. Yeah. And they're like, F them because they're on drugs. We don't care.
Probably.
That's the conspiracy part of me. But it also, part of me is like, that is possible.
The thing that sucks, though, it's not just targeting drug addicts. So, for example, I'll tell you who this is off camera, too. A friend of mine in January, he took a Percocet, and it was laced with fentanyl, and he's not a drug addict or anything. He took it because he has a bad back.
The pill itself was laced?
Yeah, I'll get to you how it happened in a second, but he just never woke up and died, and he has a daughter and shit, and he's in his mid-30s. Well, guess what? He got these pills because there's people in Phoenix right now, in every major city, pushing fake, or I don't know the terminology, but making fake pills in like in their garages and lacing it with the fentanyl. So it looks like a real Perk 30, but it's not from the pharmacy or Purdue or any of those. It's some fucking guy in a garage taking fentanyl. And then when you're doing this to these pills, it's not like it's being distributed equally to each pill. You know what I mean? Like one pill's gonna have fucking way more than the other. You know what I mean? So it's not like the dosage is right on these. So my friend got these Percocets. Yeah, he got them off the street, but it's not because he was like a drug addict or anything like that. He just thought they were like, his friend had real Percocets, and it turned out they were fake. That's fucked up. So, like, even not just like opiates and stuff, but even like partying drugs, like I would be scared to do like ecstasy or fucking ketamine.
Just
like
put it in everything.
Yeah, you never know. Like if that shit was going on when we were growing up, dude, I would be guaranteed dead.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I just never got into any of it.
Thank God.
Thankfully, I feel like I could have an addictive personality, but whenever something like I get addicted to something like the energy drink, I go. It bothers me, and I was like, I don't like things controlling me. Yeah. Like, I hate authority. Yeah. I hate all authority. Like, I don't like any of it. But when even a thing controlling me, I'm like, fuck that. I can't do that anymore. And I just, like, I have to stop it. And I'll just stop it. But I know things catch me, like caffeine, and you're like, oh, that's not a big deal. But
yeah, so I'm saying a lot of things still. Let's not get this twisted.
But I'm just saying, if I tried something that was way stronger by like 1,000, I would be totally screwed. Yeah. So I know that about myself. So part of the reasons I've never did any of that kind of stuff is just because I know that I wouldn't. it wouldn't go well for me. Like it doesn't go well for most people.
Yeah.
But
back to the that other guy you said that was 70. I was telling you that is like one thing is I don't really wear that on my sleeve. Like I don't know, like I'm sober, or I don't even say I'm sober. Like I don't. I made that post just because it had been 10 years and stuff, but I'm going to probably start just trying to get the word out more, just to fucking see if it can maybe just inspire somebody or something. Yeah, because I think there is a decent story there that needs to be told and shit. And so I just finally, not that I was uncomfortable, but I'm just starting to get that out there more, I
was thinking about re-releasing the pods I did for all the people that did that overcome drug addiction or addictions, because that was like when I had the pod studio was in my little office, and it was like just the lighting was terrible and all was terrible, and it looks a lot nicer now. So I thought about reshooting them, and like not reshooting them, but like trying to recolor them so they look a little nicer, and then release them, because I wanted to do it because I just nobody's doing anything. Like if even my parking lot, like there's drug addicts everywhere out there, like they're just heroin and meth, and like the government's not really doing nothing about it, and they don't care, and people aren't really, not a lot of organizations are doing much, and it's part of the homeless problem is that
for sure.
So I just, anything that I feel like I can do, put the word out there, I want to do. My friend Peter, my really good friend, one time we were at lunch, and he goes, hey man, what would you, if someone gave you $100 million, what would you do with it? And I immediately I was like, I would start a drug rehabilitation center, and then I would build them throughout the whole country, and I would get like the brightest minds to what is the
That's
best
what you
way.
Would do?
Yeah, 100%. 100% I would do that.
That's cool.
Yeah, like shit's fucked up, and nobody's doing anything about it. I don't have the finances for that.
I would buy an island and just get away from all those drug addicts and all these people.
Get away with it.
I'm just kidding.
But I remember a close family member of mine had to go to rehab for alcohol, and it cost like $15,000.
Rehab's fucked up.
And I was like, what? Why does it take $15,000 to do that, man? Like, you can't.
Not only that, but the rehab facilities out here,
and they seem like a joke.
They are a joke. Like they have these like I think it was like 3, 5, or 7 day programs where you go in there, you withdraw your balls off, and then a week later you're supposed to be rehabilitated off of all these stupid fucking meetings they have. But then they send you home with a prescription of Suboxone, which is like another kind of like methadone.
For alcohol or just for whatever?
No, for opiates.
Okay, opiates.
So like Suboxone, then you end up on the street with that. You end up just trading that for drugs, and then guess what else happens? You meet like 4 or 5 of the best drug hookups you ever met in rehab. That's where I got all my best connections, was in rehab. There was one guy that I was in there with rehab one time, and he was the coolest dude ever, but he had no intention of getting clean. He was just like, he was only in there because he wanted a break from life. He's like, oh, I'm not getting clean. I just wanted to come in here and just hang out. Like, I was like that's his thing. Like, he just does that twice a year and then goes back out and sells drugs. I end up fucking, exactly, a vacation. And then I would see, and then I got his number and I would buy it from him outside after fucking rehab and shit,
I just think it's, I think it's an epidemic, and
unless you have thousands of dollars, like the $30,000 a month ones that like all the celebrities go to.
It's bullshit, man. It shouldn't cost that much.
I know it shouldn't.
It's
like, but those are awesome because those are like retreats. Nice. Yeah. But if you did open a bunch of those up, dude, that would be a game changer. Because the ones that you go to, they're so ghetto, dude.
Yeah,
they're so ghetto.
I would hire doctors, and I would do a ton of research. What is the best way to do this? Like, how can we do this the best, most efficient way? And that would be it. Like, I would just go gangbusters. Like, it would be, see, to me, that's the real war on drugs. The real war on drugs is to help people get off drugs, not.
It probably starts with honestly showing people how to administer it properly and giving them safe drugs to do at first, like a place they could safely do it, and then rehabilitate them there for that. Does that make sense?
I know you like Ari for sure.
Fuck yeah.
And he was talking about at these festivals where they'll test your drugs for you when you come into the festival and know if they have fentanyl in it, because
that's fucking smart.
They
should have those kits at home.
The other guy was like,
they probably do.
Yeah, they should also like
do have those
teach you how to use drugs so you don't overdose, and like teach you amounts and things and the math, and I was like, geez, okay.
I know this is controversial, but I'm the I'm the legalize all drugs kind of guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
No, I am too.
Like heroin when I was doing, dude. There's like battery acid in it, probably fucking Coca-Cola just to make it darker. Like who knows what the fuck I was shooting into my body.
I think if you put the money into, if you abolish the DEA and you put the money into rehab instead, because they get billions of dollars, and we just did billions of dollars for rehabilitation and to help people get off drugs when they need to get off drugs. And
I know, but I hear this shit all the time. There's billions of dollars supposedly for the homeless problem in Los Angeles. Have you seen the homeless problem in Los Angeles? They don't do anything about it. Where the fuck does this money go?
Yeah, but how do you... So you're going to put them in homes, but they're still addicted to drugs, or they have psychotic problems.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's either mental or drugs.
Yeah,
or both.
Or both. So that's the real problem.
Or, no, actually, there's a third category. There's also like those drifters who just want to be homeless because they like to ride trains around the country and just be that nomad.
I know that. I know there's people. I know some people.
Yeah.
But I just think that you have a percentage of society that aren't doing anything, and they're a drain on society, man. They really are. And
it's out of control.
It's out of control.
In every major city.
Yeah, all cities, yes. And there's not talked about, nothing's doing it. And I think the drugs is going to be easier than the mental. But I think they go hand in hand. So I would probably, part of these facilities were like mental health facilities too. I would try to help people with depression, anxiety, and things like that. And that would be that's what I would do with the money. Now he was smarter when he told me he would invest some of the money so that the money makes money so that his organizations would keep running. I'm like, well, I'm not that bright, but yeah, that's the smarter thing. So he was like, I would do $20 million here.
But like, what one cool thing would you buy? I mean, for yourself.
Probably
a really badass mandolin.
Dude, bro. I can get crazy with mandolins. So these mandolins called Lloyd Loar mandolins in the 20s, and they're $100,000 for these mandolins.
Yeah, if you had 100 million, what's 100,000?
I would buy one for sure. Yeah. But my other problem is I'm left-handed, and I don't think they have any left-handed.
No, but you can always just flip it, can't you? Or no?
Well, because the scroll is on the other side.
Oh yeah.
So it's not equal.
It's not even on each side. I see.
I forgot what they call that part.
Oh, there's extra frets on.
Extra frets. Yeah. Not all of them have extra frets, but I would have a nice mandolin for sure.
So not all mandolins are like that. That's interesting. I never really noticed that, how the fret stops, but on that one part, but it continues.
That's
hard. Pretty cool.
You need to get like a nail.
Yeah. How the fuck do you hit those notes?
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
You'd have to use your nail.
You have to use your nail. Yeah, you can't put your fingers.
Yeah, if you put your finger on it, you hit the fret.
Even sometimes these ones, your finger, if you have fat fingers, it is not easy. So there's guitar, you might have to travel a little farther, but these frets are smaller, so your fingers don't always fit right as good.
No.
I'm talking to
interesting.
Anyway, yeah, I would get a nice mandolin. Like a lot of my favorite players, they play like $20,000 mandolins, but you're a professional musician. That's nothing. That's like a car payment every month. It's not that much, but yeah, I would probably do that. Maybe
plus
a nice car.
Sponsors probably.
But I like my house. Like maybe I would travel a little bit, but I don't need a lot of stuff. I kind of like helping people, so that's kind of what I would do. Let's let's wrap it up. But I want to ask you this. So my kids, I'm always thinking. I try to talk to my kids. Like I always have this thing of like, what if I die tomorrow? Or my kids, my boys, do they know enough to get through life, like without me? And so when I talk to them, I'm like, I try to tell them like as much wisdom or whatever I can get to them. So if like tomorrow I die, at least I said the things that I should have said as a parent. And, the drugs thing is something that I've never really talked much to them about. So what do you think you should tell kids about? Like, honest, like, even if you said, you should take drugs, whatever, I don't care. Like, what do you think? Like, I think they're gonna take something eventually, even if it's just alcohol. But I don't want to scare them, but I also want them to be reality. Like, what is real? I feel like Dare was just all lies when they taught us.
Yeah, Dare was complete bullshit. That's where my mind's going, is the opposite of Dare.
Yeah.
I feel like Dare was trying to scare you from doing it instead of just being honest of what all the drugs do.
And if they wouldn't
and
be
the positive
scary,
and negatives of each one.
I could take them to the homeless shelter and go, hey,
that's how you scare them.
If you want to be scared,
no, totally, that's
reality.
A great idea. You know who is very interesting is Hamilton Morris, and just his ideas about drugs. How
he's the one that does everything, right?
Yeah, but he has a show called Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, which is absolutely amazing. Yeah. But he finds the benefits in every single drug. Like every single drug is, even meth. You know what I mean? I know that sounds crazy, but there's some benefit to something out of that in some way. You know what I mean? Obviously, people abuse that, and it's not a good drug. But just I don't know, man. Just being honest with them about it. Instead of just having that stigma on it, you know what I mean? Like when we were growing up, like for example, I started smoking cannabis when I was like 14 or 15, but like I'm hiding it like it's crack cocaine and stuff like that. Like it shouldn't be like that. Yeah. My one of my good friends, Chris Martin, he runs Hemphill Farms, fucking huge stoner.
Actually, I was gonna ask you his number. I would like to talk to him on here.
He's great.
I don't know if he can come on here now, but
dude, he's great.
I would love to talk to his story.
He could probably answer that question way better because he has kids. Dude, his kids aren't even into cannabis.
Yeah.
And he is, you know what I mean? Because but they were in that world that whole time, so it's like and I feel like the studies that are going on in Colorado, like since the legalization there, like teen use is down like way less because it's not like this like rebellious thing.
Yeah, you want to do things like, that they tell you not to do.
Exactly. That's how I was when I was a kid. For sure. Yo, I can't do that. Okay. I'm gonna do that.
It's way more fun. For sure. The issue I think also is like, your brain doesn't stop. It's developing to like 25. So you at least want to get them to like maybe 20 before they start
taking ecstasy and shit for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. But they see even marijuana is like not good for you if your brain is still developing. And obviously if you have schizophrenia, I don't think I have schizophrenia in my family, but like that's bad too if you're taking marijuana. But like I don't know. Again, I don't want to lie to them. I don't want to overly scare them. But honestly, you can be homeless. Honestly, you can sell your body. This can go crazy sideways. And like you mentioned, 3 people that already died that you know of. And losing house, losing friends, losing so many negative things. I don't want to go tell them it's positive, but I don't know. I've thought about.
Man, it's got to be very fucking hard as a parent. Like right now, even dealing with all of that, and having to have that conversation. But I would start with the cannabis, dude, and say
this is what this is. This is what it does.
Yeah, but like there's CBD, you know what I mean? CBN, show them like the benefits. Like this actually helps for seizure. Some people with pain, some anxiety.
But
some people get really
not marijuana. It's separate.
But no, I know, but it's still part of the plant. You know what I mean? But you can also be like, some people get super stupid high and do dumb stuff. You know what I mean? And show them some examples. You could show them the examples of everything, and then I'm sure like it sounds like they're on a good path already of because I know you're a good dad, so I'm sure they'll be able to make rational decisions.
Or my son, he had his birthday this month, and
how old are they?
I got 11 and 8.
11 and 8, okay.
Yeah. And the 11-year-old, he brought his friends over, and they're all from his like nerd classes, so like all nerds. And I was like, this is awesome. I want you to hang out with nerds. Like, just be a nerd,
dude,
bro.
The nerds are the ones that like start like figuring out the
drugs
before they're big. Like Taylor Breer, dude, he knew about DMT and salvia and all that shit before anybody knew about that stuff, and he was doing it. Like the nerds are like actually like the kids. Yeah.
Shit.
I don't know if I could plug something really quick. I'm just working on a pilot show that I'm shooting right now. It's like my directorial debut. It's called The Sound Guy.
I almost wanted to do a separate podcast just
we could do that. But I am just trying to raise money for our next shoot. It's a 4-day shoot we're doing in December. So if you go to thesoundguyseries.com,
thesoundguysseries.com.
Yeah, and you can find different ways. Like we have different like perks and prizes, like depending on how much you donate, like posters, executive producer, you get walk on as an extra, shit like that. So
cool.
Sweet, man. I appreciate you having me come on, dude.
Yeah, when do you think it's gonna wrap up?
Oh, we wrap in December. It'll probably come. It'll be ready in March for festivals and for pitching to the networks and shit. I don't know when it'll be out to the public though.
Nice.
Maybe like next year or sometime.
So you've come a long way.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, you've come a long way. I mean, from an addict to now you're making movies, man. That's dope.
Well, it's actually a pilot television show for like a series, like an 8-episode shit. But one day I will definitely do a movie.
You're filming things.
Yeah.
And creatively.
Yeah, trying.
It's a positive thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's awesome.
Soundguyseries.com.
Soundguyseries.com. All right,
Oh, yeah.
we'll just end it.
All right, brother.
Peace.
Sweet, dude. Thank you.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather be the latter. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.